Oh, they did it. What an epic end to 9 films, to 3 different trilogies, to a saga, they say. I was just so glad to finally see that, the Palpatines won. Whew. How about you? And welcome to Sporking News Podcast. My name is Scott. And if you like what you hear here, I don't really care. So hit the subscribe, don't hit the subscribe, do what you want to do. So this is a review of the Force Awakens. No, the Last Jet. No, what is this one? They're all so forgettable. Um, the Rise of Skywalker. That's it. I'm doing it in a couple different parts because I'm a busy person and I don't have time to record. So let's just start it off. So it starts out with the crawl. I don't know if I would call that the crawl. I mean, most crawls are pretty long. I maybe I have to do a comparison. To me, it just seemed really quick. It was like 3, maybe 4 sentences. I'll give it 5, maybe 5 sentences. Okay. But it starts out with like the dead speak. What I found out, and I don't know if this is true, so let me know in the comments below because I don't do research, is that to hear what Palpatine actually said, you had to. Oh, yeah, by the way, Palpatine's back. I know. So freaking confusing. You had to play Minecraft, and they actually played the transmission. I don't know. But this crawl didn't really give you much. And I'm going to read the crawl actually. The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast. In the it's a threat of revenge. It's like all in caps, revenge, get like Revenge of the Sith. I thought that was funny. In the sinister, voice of the late Emperor Palpatine, General Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence, while Rey, the last hope of the Jedi, trains for battle against the diabolical First Order. Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rages. Rages? Does that dude really rage? I mean, does he rage at all in this movie? Does he really talk that much in this movie? I don't know. In search of the Phantom, get it? Phantom Menace, Phantom Empire, or Emperor, determined to destroy any threat to his power. That was it. That's the crawl. Boom, done. Let's just get it out of the way. The music was great. John Williams, excellent. Always excellent. I really did like the music. And the scenery, the technology, that was pretty good too. I liked, what we saw is just so quick. I don't know really what I saw. So we enter right into Kylo Ren just laying smackdown on all these people, destroying people, looking like a badass that I was hoping he'd be from the beginning of this trilogy. Killed everybody. I mean, there's bodies all over the place. This was part of the trailers that we saw. But he killed everybody. He finds the first of the wayfinders. We find out it is. It's a wayfinder. Holds it up. It's a little triangular cube type thing with a little dot floating in it. And he GPSs his way to a Sith world called Exegol. We find out later in the movie that it's something that's really hard to find. No one's ever found it. There's really only 2 wayfinders to find this place. I'm trying to figure out how people got there then. Like, well, let's get to it. He lands. There's this giant cube. I think it's floating. Kind of quick getting in there. Looked really cool. Lightning, old statues. We find out we're like old Sith. And it turns out to be the voice of Palpatine. And you see these little minion type people working on Palpatine, and that's the way they kept him alive. They have all these different machines, and they're pumping, whatever blood, I guess, through them and stuff. We don't really find out who these people are because everything is so rushed in this film. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just so we find out who nothing. Actually, we find out nothing. And Kylo's like, I'm gonna destroy you, and I destroyed Snoke, and Palpatine goes, I have been all the voices in your head, and it goes from Palpatine to Vader, which was cool. I mean, it goes from Palpatine to Snoke to Vader, which was cool. But then I thought, Vader's voice is awesome, but they could have used any voice. How would, unless maybe he found recordings, because he was such a fanboy. How did he know Darth Vader's voice? Because he was dead for so many years prior to him being even born, Kylo Ren even being born, but whatever. So we find out that Palpatine has been the puppet master ever since he blew up. I mean, the beginning. It takes me right out of the movie. I don't know about you. How did Palpatine survive this blast? It made no sense. I don't know about you. It just makes no sense to me. Um, but anyways, he fell down the elevator shaft or whatever that shaft was. We see an explosion. They leave the Death Star. It explodes. Maybe he left on one of those really little chunks that went flying that had to go into re-entry into a planet and then crashes. But he survived through re-entry, through an explosion, through falling down a elevator shaft or whatever it was. Okay. So Palpatine says, just bring me Rey, because she's more than what you know. So what do? We flash to Rey. Okay, so we're flashing to Rey, and Rey is floating, 20 feet up in the air with rocks everywhere. And okay, she's OP in this movie. We all know it. If you say she's not, come on. And I'm guessing during Empire Strikes Back, if in Return of the Jedi and whenever they should actually show it's Empire Strikes Back, if he had the technology, I think Lucas would have showed Luke, lifting up more rocks and stuff like that. So yeah, she could lift up rocks. I mean, unlike she did in The Last Jedi, where she lifted up massive boulders like it was nothing. This I can understand. She goes through her training montage. She's leaping over chasms. She's, cutting down trees. She's throwing a lightsaber and catching it. She's she's been trained. What Jedi trained her? I can't wait to see that. Oh, it was Leia. Leia. Okay. Okay. Never in the movies have we ever heard that she was a Jedi. Never in the movies have they even implied she had training. Now the EU was thrown out, and that's the expanded universe for people that don't know about that, and it's not your fault because Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know what it is. The expanded universe was hundreds of books, comic books. It's material in the 90s mostly. It started where George Lucas himself had to okay each property, and it was stories about the Jedi, stories about the ancient past, stories about our heroes Luke, Leia, and Han. And it's a very rich, rich worlds that tell you more about what happened. And yeah, in there, Leia did train for a while. And they stole that from it, even though they told us the EU is not canon anymore. They took from it like they have done before, because when they need to, they will they will pick apart the carcass of what they already destroyed. So Leia, I guess, somewhat a Jedi. We then jump to Poe and Finn, and they're on a desperate, flight to find the informant, the traitor for the first order. Okay. So the first order is on this planet, which is the iceberg planet that we saw in the trailers. Very beautiful looking thing. I got to give you that. They land, the guys gives them some information. He's not the traitor, just says beat Kylo, win. And they take off, and they're being chased. So what do? They skip through hyperspace, which, okay. And it was a cool looking scene because it was like their hyperspace jump without programming in anything, even though you can end up in the middle of a star and they'd be in a planet, and then they'd hyperspace and they'd be somewhere else and they hyperspace. So they messed up the Millennium Falcon, whatever. I think Chewie was there. I don't know. It was so fast I couldn't keep up. Yes, I'm dumb. So they get back to the base, and pretty much find out through these recordings that in 14 hours, the Palpatine will release his final order, his Death Stars that we saw with Kylo Ren. He had hundreds of Death Stars.
Look at him. He's saying Death Stars. What an idiot. They're Star Destroyers. He's not even really a fan. I hate him so much.
Already ready to go for his final order. And he's going to give them to Kylo Ren and all the people on them, which would take millions and millions, I mean, hundreds of millions of people to man. Um, where did he get all this? I mean, Exegol does not look like a live planet. And where are all, where is he getting all the people to build these? I mean, later on, we do see there's a lot of those little minion people, but I mean, you need excavation for the metal, and you need craftsmen, and you need all this stuff, but he has hundreds of these Star Destroyers. I mean, JJ took it to 11, Spinal Tap the shit out of it. So, what we find out is that Ray and the band of merry pranksters need to find their own Wayfinder, but what they have to do first is find, I don't know, if they have to find the Sith dagger to find the Wayfinder to find Exegol. I think that's how it goes. So the Sith dagger, but no one could translate it because it's against droids protocol because of the New Republic. Put it in there that Sith translations could not be translated or some shit like that. So they find out that the last Sith dagger was on this desert planet. They go there, and if you saw the trailers, that's where you see this, awesome festival that only happens every 42 years. Get it? 42 years ago, 1977, the first one, the first movie. Remember Barry? Um, Nostalgia. And that's something they do. I've come to realize with these sequel trilogies, they want heavy nostalgia. They want you to remember. I mean, they pull things from Clone Wars and everything in this movie, all the movies. And what gets me is that they're creating nostalgia for maybe someone my age that's not, kind of seen the movies, seen maybe the Clone Wars, and it was like, oh, cool, look at that. That's nostalgia. But what about the kids that are seeing these movies kind of for their generation? Like, they're working so hard on the nostalgia for me. They're not creating characters that are memorable and things that happen that those kids could be like, oh, you remember when that happened. So they're there, and who pops up? Lando Calrissian. Billy D. Williams was the best part of this movie. Old school, but why have you been there for 35 years or so? And we find out from him that Luke wasn't just running away. He was looking for these wayfinders to find Exegol. He just, he left there, left Billy D. Billy D never went did anything else with his life. And then when Luke got to the island planet, he just gave up. JJ worked really hard to redcon anything The Last Jedi did because The Last Jedi redconned anything he said. So, I guess it's okay. I don't know. It made no sense. So they find Billy D. Billy D tells them where this Sith hunter, I don't even know. I thought maybe he was somebody. Ship crash Jedi. I don't know who the hell this guy was. It was going so fast that I was trying to think about what they just said when they moved on to something else. They never let anything sink in. So in the desert, there's this spacecraft that they had to get to find what they need to find. They find the ship, they're running, and there's different colored sand they end up on because, those troopers that's it. They can fly now. They can fly now. They can fly now. um, they had to fight them, but their ship blew up at the last second. And they land in this different color sand. Well, it's quicksand. Oh no, they're getting sucked in. And Finn's like, Ray, I never told you. We never find out. He died. No, just kidding. We never find. He never tells her. So that, just forget that. It's not even important. Poe asks him a few times through the movie, "What were you going to say to her?" He never tells her. So whatever. the stormtrooper that defected, that could have been a great character. Once again, not important. So they all get sucked through the quicksand. It's Chewbacca, it's C3PO, it's I believe BB-8, it's Ray, Finn, and Poe. But thank God the quicksand goes into a tunnel. A tunnel. How does that happen? It's quicksand. How does it stop underground and then leave a tunnel? It would have just fell into the tunnel, but don't think. Okay. So they're in the tunnel and they're like, oh, he must have ended up down here. He never made it to where he had to go. And they find what they're looking for. And then there's this snake thing that, is going to kill him. But Rey notices it's hurt. And what does she do? She force heals. Boop, 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 boop. But we find out it gives a little bit of their life force. So they did take that from the games, which are no, I don't think any of them are, well, the ones they made are canon, but whatever. Force heal has been around. We've known a force heal. Baby Yoda, on the other hand, just reminded us what force heal was 2 days prior to this movie coming out. Actually, a day before this movie was coming out. Baby Yoda, the whole reason for him, like we've been saying, like I've been saying, like people like Ryan RK Outpost has been saying, Baby Yoda was to set up this movie, set up why Rey has the powers and how easily it is for her to have these powers. So that was one thing. There you go. She force heals it. It's happy. It lets them go. They leave. I think I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to make too long a video, and I don't have time. So, a couple little things. We're going to find out later that Baby Yoda also was there to okay Finn. How do I say this? Some of the things we thought were going to happen in the first couple movies, that Finn was force sensitive, that Finn had an ability, even though The Last Jedi never touches on it because Finn's just a joke in that movie. It answers it here. Okay. And maybe why the First Order or after Baby Yoda is the same reason Finn was taken, but we'll explain that later. Sorry if it's seemed like a rushed review, but guess what? It was a rushed movie. But tell me what you thought about the first, quarter to a third of this movie. Did you like it? Do you want me to keep going? Probably don't because you people hate me. Whatever. I don't care.
Oh, we're getting to him. He cares. Oh, he cares. We're going to get him. SJW's rule.
Okay. This movie has a lot of mistakes. I'm going to even probably fill in more that were in the beginning of the movie in my next video, but let's see what happens. I just wanted to get something out there for you guys. A first thought on that part of the movie. Tell me what I missed. Please comment, like, share, sub, do what you need to do. Okay. And remember, if they're calling you names, which they are right now, who are they? They've already lost the war. Have a great day, everybody.